Does MOTS-c help with weight loss? What if the key to weight loss wasn't your diet, your gym program? What if there is a way that you could turn on this powerhouse in your cells, your mitochondria, and you sleep better, you recover better, you have better glucose metabolism, and you just feel a little pep in your step? Well, MOTS-c is one of those molecules that I think is going to be mainstream in the near future. And in this video, we're going to deconstruct what it is, how it can help with your exercise, how it can help you actually reset your thinking around what's possible no matter where you're at in your weight loss journey. And maybe you could think about cycling off the GLP-1s. I know everyone's really bullish on them and they work great, but every peptide needs to be pulsed, and MOTS-c can be a really good adjunct therapy. Or if you're plateaued and you are on a GLP-1, we'll talk about how you can use MOTS-c to help get your weight loss back on track and get it where you want it to go. Here's the discovery. So to understand where MOTS-c comes from, it's really important to understand the science of metabolism is evolving. And so for decades, we thought we had mitochondria pretty much figured out. They were, well, like I learned, the powerhouse of the cell. They produce this adenosine triphosphate factories, and then you have energy expenditure. But what we didn't fully appreciate is that the mitochondria have their own genome, their own DNA, a remnant of their ancient bacterial origins. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because our bacteria evolved from the gut into the surface of the cell. Inside of the cell is mitochondria. These mitochondria genomes, they were signals that we hadn't fully decoded until the early 2010s. And so researchers started looking at mitochondrial conduction, and they saw that the signaling actually came from very specific genes in the mitochondria. And these genes in all your mitochondria you get from your mom. So if you have poor mitochondrial function, it's your mom's fault. No, don't blame it on her, but it's probably that you're watching too much YouTube. Who knows? But if you think of metabolism at a fundamental level, when researchers were looking at this gene expression, right around 2010, they saw this small peptide encoded within the 12S ribosomal RNA region of the mitochondrial genome. And this was named MOTS-c. And yes, some of you have told me I do not pronounce it right, MOTS-c or MOTS-c. It doesn't matter because this is an acronym, folks. So it's mitochondrial ORF of the 12S RNA type C, and that's called MOTS-c. So the mitochondrial-derived peptide, and it promotes metabolic homeostasis and reduces obesity. So why is that important? Well, the mitochondria, they're not just passive energy factories, they're actual metabolic regulators. That means they're sending these signals and influencing how your body uses fuel. And the mitochondrial-derived peptides, what they've been shown to regulate is whole body metabolism, not just intracellular, but a whole approach. And one of the things that we found is for fat storage and glucose utilization and insulin sensitivity, they're all influenced by this 16 amino acid peptide encoded in your mitochondrial genome. So what that means for weight loss is, we thought eat less, move more for 50 years, but that's helpful. But what's even more important is this calculus, this metabolic machinery that includes mitochondrial signaling system. And that determines how effectively your body stores or burns fat. Ideally, you want to burn it, and how well your body responds to caloric restriction. So two people eating the same calories can have dramatically different fat loss outcomes if their mitochondrial signaling systems are operating at different levels. This is where MOTS-c becomes the metabolic reset. It's the same thing in your phone, you upgrade your operating system. What MOTS-c research is looking to do is actually go into your metabolic system and allows it to get very specific so you can get energy into the cell and you'll burn more energy, which is actually a good thing. So MOTS-c works primarily through the activation of AMPK, and this is this AMPK activated protein kinase, and it's sometimes called the master energy sensor of the cell. So it's like it lets your carburetor know when to drip fuel into the engine. AMPK, it shifts the cellular program from energy storage to energy burning. So this metabolic switch is what tells your body stop storing, start burning. So MOTS-c activates AMPK through this folate-purine AMPK pathway, and then it signals this cascade that connects mitochondrial activity to cellular energy regulation. So when MOTS-c is present, AMPK gets activated in the skeletal muscle, which is one of the primary sites of glucose and fatty acid oxidation. And this matters enormously because your skeletal muscle is responsible for the majority of your resting metabolic rate and glucose clearance. So it increases GLUT4 expression. It also, GLUT4 allows your body to clear glucose from the blood. That means you're not going to get high cholesterol because cholesterol goes in and repairs the damage to the blood vessels because of glucose. The other thing MOTS-c does is it enhances glycolysis. That's the pathway by which glucose is burned for energy and promotes metabolic flexibility. So that's your ability to switch efficiently between burning carbohydrates and burning fat. So if you want to use two fuel sources, this is your secret weapon. One of the hallmarks of obesity is metabolic disease. Now, if you look at mouse studies with MOTS-c, what they found is that when mice were fed a high-fat diet designed to help them become obese, they found that the mice that were using MOTS-c administration, it blocked the production of it. So these mice had reduced fat gain while actually preserving lean muscle mass, even if they were on this diet. I don't know what they're feeding, probably some processed garbage. But you think of body composition. The other thing that's interesting about MOTS-c is it's a myostatin inhibitor. And when you inhibit myostatin, a gene gets turned on, so you turn on more follistatin. That follistatin allows you to build muscle. So MOTS-c, ACE031, follistatin 344, these are really important myostatin inhibitors so that you can get better muscle capabilities. And so MOTS-c, as you build muscle and create more flexibility, now you're going to have this glucose disposal system because it's the sugar that causes us to be fat. It's not the fat. And once you restore that metabolic flexibility, what you're going to see is you lose fat, but you build muscle, and now your entire metabolism starts to turn on, and the food you eat will get burned quicker as an energy source. You'll also notice that you have a good response in your body to diet and exercise better than you had before. Now, one of the interesting studies is where they took old mice and young mice, and they wanted to see the distance that these old mice could run. And they found that the young mice could run roughly twice the distance of the old mice. So they gave these old mice 7 weeks or 7 days of daily injections of MOTS-c, put them back on the treadmill, and they could run as far as these young mice. And so this is why it's sometimes called an exercise mimetic, because it's working on some of those same pathways that exercise activates. Now, one of the things that's interesting is when we exercise, you can measure your increase of MOTS-c. And what's been shown is that you'll have a 12 times increase in circulating MOTS-c when you exercise. So your body's already producing this peptide, and exercise is the primary trigger that releases it. The other thing, just a little caveat, is you can jump in the sauna and get a greater expression of MOTS-c. Some of the ways you can also activate this AMPK, you can use a herb called astragalus and cordyceps and ginseng. These are the 3 treasures in Chinese medicine, and that can actually help activate your AMP kinase. So if you're someone who's struggled with exercise, you've noticed you've got joint pain, cardiovascular limitations, you're just tired of having this weight fluctuation, one of the most important steps that you want to take is understanding where your blockages are, because healing is about identifying where the interferences are and then building up deficiencies. And glucose metabolism is one of the most important pathways. In fact, those are the priorities with anybody we work with. So if you'd like to go deeper, go to agelessfuture.com and then work with my team. Our medical providers only use peptides from a compounding pharmacy with a licensed pharmacist, and that keeps you safe. It also allows you to know that you're actually getting the peptide promised. So I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you on the next video.